monthly rundown on how Michael's getting on with improving his personality.
Well,
so we got, I don't know why anybody can recognize the fella over that side in the very corner there is professional World Snooker referee Brendon Moore. Brendon's decided to come on this evening because he can't sleep. You know, we're going to come on, we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about Brendon a little bit because, you know, we've done profiles in the past with professionals and 3 or 4 world champions, but we've never really sort of got into a chat with a professional referee. So, you know, Brendon, thanks very much for popping on, saying hello.
You're welcome. Can I just interrupt 1 second? Did you say you just never had a proper conversation with a referee?
Well, no, I just... I said we've never really had a good conversation.
Never really had a good conversation.
Apart from Paul Collier.
Well, that's what my point is. That's still not a proper professional referee, is it? I mean, you just said you've never had a proper conversation with a proper professional referee. And I'm sure you've spoken to Paul on this show. So that proves my point. Even you don't think he's a proper professional referee.
Yeah, look, listen, Paul's very dull. He's very, very dull. But I didn't want to say anything. And he told me he was busy this evening, actually. He said he's not going to watch this. You know, so I didn't want to bring Paul in again because he kind of let himself down a bit, Brendon. You know what I mean?
Paul always lets himself down.
And I'll tell you what, Brendon, I'll tell you this right now. He was slagging you off something. He was slagging you off all through the whole show.
Believe it. You know? I believe it. I believe it.
He didn't have a good word to say about you. But I'll tell you what I have. Actually, I'm actually just having a look at your business card here, Brendon. You know the business card you gave me a while ago?
The one that you told me you lost?
It says here, Assistant Tournament Director.
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking maybe Paul's got in and you're out. No.
Paul's already the tournament director.
Oh.
He's the man. He's the man. He has to tournament direct because he certainly can't ref.
Well, I don't know. I think we can probably go through the mistakes. And that, by the way, Brendon, this is one of the things we're going to talk about here because, you know, I've had some trainee referees come down to my pro-ams.
Like Paul.
And I've had to kick them out. You know, I don't know why I get a wee bit nervous. Now, it is a bit nerve-wracking if you've got like maybe a few million people watching you on live TV and you've got maybe all right, we didn't quite have Hong Kong's 9,000 audience, did we? But if you've obviously been in the arena when there's been at least a couple of thousand people there staring down waiting for you to make a mistake.
Yeah.
Now, I suppose with experience, you kind of just shut yourself off from the crowd and get on with the job.
Yeah, I mean, you can't ignore the crowds there because obviously you've got to control the crowd as well when they get a bit too involved. But personally, I love it. I mean, the way I am, I don't care whether there's one person in the crowd or 10,000. The more, the merrier. But my attitude is, this is what I try and teach refs as an assessor. The crowd aren't there to see you. Unless you make a mistake, nobody cares who's the referee. And that's my attitude. That's why I don't worry who's there. You can't worry about it. You got to do your job. If you do your job and don't make a mistake, nobody cares you're there. And that's the best way to think about it. Sorry, Michael?
Nobody sees you if you don't make a mistake, do they? They don't even...
Correct.
Yeah. That's correct. The best way to
yeah.
speak.
But the more people in the crowd, the better. I love it. I love it.
How many is at the Masters? Is that 2,000?
That's about 2.5, maybe even approaching 3.
Because that's the biggest crowd, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we've done the Moscone Cup there, and that's been like nearly 3,000 people. And that crowd's even louder than the snooker crowd at the Masters.
What's that, the tiddlywinks thing?
Don't. I'm very protective of the 9-ball. We like the 9-ball.
I don't even know how to play 9, but well, I don't even know how to play black ball.
9-ball's a terrific game. I love 9-ball. 9-ball is the most exciting pool game you can play. Brendon, is that right?
I agree. I agree. We love the 9-ball. Say again?
I'd rather go fishing.
You stick to fishing. I'll stick to the 9-ball.
Well, I'm sure we'd all rather you go fishing, actually, Michael. You know what I mean? Because I've seen your snooker game, and I've heard about your refereeing as well.
Oh, I was refereeing a World Billiards event on Saturday.
I heard you're a bit slow. I heard you're very slow.
2.
Not very impressive.
Yeah, but there are a lot of old people play billiards.
Brendon, when did this all start for you? How did you get into snooker refereeing or anything else?
Back in 2002, I first took my referee's exam because I was captain of a team in Sheffield. Just wanted to know the rules. And the short version is 2 years later, I went to an under-19 event in Wellingborough. And that semi-final lineup had Judd Trump, Jamie Jones, Chris Nowbury, Mark Allen, I think. So I think that was the lineup back then. And Len Ganley happened to be the head ref on site. And as most, in case you don't know, his son, Mike Ganley, is the tournament director of World Snooker. So he contacted him and said, there's a guy you need to look at. And that's how I got into World Snooker. Right place, right time. Very lucky. Very lucky.
Yeah, you mentioned Len there. I know Len. Last time I saw Len was in the QE1 Snooker Club in Belfast. Probably actually a couple of years before he passed away.
Yeah.
So I can't really remember when that was, but I was talking to him about League Snooker, and I think I was actually quite drunk. And we were having a joke. We were talking about Alex Higgins, and we were talking about some of the top players in that particular club at the time. But no, we were just sharing. Everybody shares jokes about Alex Higgins, because Alex is Alex is what Alex was. But did you ever referee, Alex?
Not on the main tour, no. He'd stopped by the time I came through, but I refed him. We came across to Ireland for the Six Reds a good few years ago, and he played in that event, and I refed him in that. So I've only ever refed him once. In the Six Reds, that was it. And the only other time I ever met was in the Waterfront when I was there for the Northern Ireland Trophy years ago, before it was a Home Nation event. I met him there. Proper character. That's all I can say from my experience of him.
A lot of stories. Alex, of course, Alex's heyday, there was less restrictions on and off the table. Alex was often drinking on the job, so to speak. And of course, these are the days, maybe the 70s and the 80s, when the base or that area around the table was engulfed in cigarette smoke. And it used to get on a lot of players' nerves. I know it used to get on Steve Davis's nerves. Quite often you'd see Steve with a hanky, getting the smoke away. But it kind of remains me. I mean, I suppose we are all old enough to remember. Well, I'm obviously the youngest one here, but I can still remember, the working men's clubs when everybody was smoking over the snooker tables and the poker tables, and it was awful. It was awful. It was like it was part of life. Now,
Michael, did you just say he was the youngest one here?
I think so, yeah.
No, I can't be right. I can't be right.
Listen, don't you turn on me. You've only been on here about 10 minutes, okay? And
I'll be gone in 2 more.
All right. But, so, I mean, being there in front of a big crowd, Brendon, was there ever what's your most embarrassing moment?
Well, I remember, actually. I was just about to say, I can't actually think of one, but I can. During the COVID season, we were in lockdown in Milton Keynes for most events, and I was reffing the Scottish Open. I think it was Ronnie against Ding. And I called a foul that I was convinced was a foul. Ronnie immediately questioned it. And the minute he gave his reaction, it made me doubt. So I looked at it again on the camera, realised from a different view it wasn't a foul, changed my decision, and we carried on. So that's probably the most embarrassing. But again, you can't be afraid. You make a mistake, you hold your hands up and say, I made a mistake, and you get on with it. So,
and what I find with players, Brendon, because I've been to the venues many times there when I was looking after a couple of players, as quite often the players would misbehave when they know they're not on the camera. Perhaps maybe the qualifiers, you'd hear a bit more swearing more than normal, and
well, they might have done back in the day, but there's all new rules in place now that you don't really get much of that anymore.
I felt sorry for some of the referees. I'm not going to mention any referees' names or players because I know the players and they know who they are, but they're quite often effing and blinding and sitting down, and they've already been told off for their language or their behavior or putting the cue down or, throwing a ball across the table. And the poor old referees sort of tough to make a decision. What am I going to do? Like, I want to give you a warning. But how far does a player have to go, Brendon? How far? Say, for example, you were refereeing me and I continuously stumped my cue down, and you came over and say, you'll have to keep your voice down, stop swearing. How far have I got to push you before you're going to dock a frame?
It's only one swear word. You get one swear word. If you swear and the ref hears you, the ref will give you a warning instantly. And the follow-up will be, if I have to warn you again, you will lose a frame. So if you swear again, you'll lose that frame.
That's just what Ben did to Jimmy the other day, didn't he? He said, one more like that and I'll dock you a frame.
Yeah. He gave him a warning, yeah. So that's the same thing. Whether it's conceding when they can with enough balls on the table to win, if they punch the table, if they swear, if the referee deems fit to have a word with them, they'll give them a warning. That, like I said, that follows up with telling them that if they do it again, they lose a frame. If they do it again, they lose that frame, and then that word will be, if you do it again, you will lose the match. So that's it, 3 and out.
Yeah.
3 and out.
It's very interesting to know that, Brendon, because I mean some of the guys who are going to watch this maybe a bit later, I'll wonder why, how far they can push a referee, how far how many mistakes that they can make. I mean, the worst situation I've had with 2 very, very good amateurs, Brendon, I'm not going to mention their names, very, very good amateurs, playing in one of my pro-ams with a £1,000 prize pot, and they cocked the scores up.
Yeah.
And they couldn't agree. They're arguing away. No shots were being played. So I came over to the table. I said, right, boys, what's going on here? And one of them said, oh, well, he's cocked the scores up. He didn't put a score up. And I know I'm 29 behind and there's 31 left on the table. I know, blah, 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 blah. And it went on like that, and I looked around and said, has anybody seen the scores? And of course, one of the players' dad said, I did. I said, well, hang on, we need somebody else.
Yeah.
And there was nobody else. And it carried on. And I just ended up sitting down for 10 minutes, and one of them went out. And I came up and I said, look, listen, boys, if you can't sort this out, I'm going to end this match. None of you are going through. I'm going to terminate this match. If you're not gentleman enough to carry on playing the match, I'm just going to end the game and you're both out of the tournament if you can't sort it out. So you've got to make a decision, right? If you want me to make a decision, I'll listen both of you and I'll make a decision. If you won't let me make a decision, then you're both out of the tournament. What would you have done in that position there, Brendon?
Well, I want to kick them both out. Well, did you say you were reffing the game?
Well, I was the tournament director. We didn't have any referees.
Right, okay. Well, that's the thing, though. So in any snooker, if you've got a game where there is no referee, the non-striker is the referee. That's in the rule book. The non-striker is the referee. So at that point, he's in charge of the scoreboard. Pretty much. So that's why you've got to deal with it. But like you said, they've got to come to an agreement. But also in the rule book now, with the new rules that stated that both players, as well as the referee, are responsible for the scoreboard. So there comes a point where it's actually condoned. So if you, for example, if I'm playing you, Dave, and I know that your break is, say, 50, but the referee's calling only 45, if I don't correct it straight away, then there comes a point where it's condoned and it just has to stand. You can't get involved too late. Yeah. So that's how you deal with it. Yeah, but like I say, in an amateur game, when there's no refs, the other player is the ref. So basically, they have to go with that. That's probably going to open up a massive can of worms at amateur snooker now.
I mean, it's been said many, many times when in arguments about, there's no referee. Well, of course there's a referee. It's the non-striker.
Yeah, there's always a referee.
Yeah. And people go, well, you can't be referees. That's how it is. And you've just got to play with it like that. But,
it can be a tough one. Sorry, Dave.
most of the time there's never any trouble. You know what I mean? I've been around for so many years. I don't even worry about trouble, but it's mostly free balls. You know, I mean, and no disrespect to the lads, but 99% of the time when I'm called down for a free ball, it's so bloody obvious. I'm really surprised I'm even asked to look at it, you know, because they seem to think, oh, you can actually hit the side of that ball, Dave. I said, well, no, it's not quite like that, mate. You have to be able to hit the very edge of that ball. You have to hit, I call it the paint of the other ball, you know. And when I look down all the time, it's so obvious to me, but it's not obvious to them. And then very often I've got to call another player over. Is this a free ball? No, that's it. Fine, that's it. That's the end.
But to say the extreme paint, that what you've just said is actually wrong. It's extreme. It's the extreme edge, because the sides of the ball, you can't say sides, because it's not the extreme sides. It's the extreme edge. And depending where the cue ball is, the edge of the object ball is different. And this is what a lot of people don't realize.
Yeah, when they're really close, it's just
it's like that great example that you get on a question that you ask a lot of the pros and they don't know. If you put the two bolt colours on the bolt line with a red right in between, so all three of them on the line touching, and the cue ball's in hand, if you ask most of the players, is this a free ball? They're all going to say yes, because they can't hit both sides. But you can, obviously, because if you put the cue ball really close to the red, all of a sudden you've got this angle now, but that's the extreme edge, not the side. And that's what the rule says, the edge. Yeah. So
it's the edge.
Again, it's
there
the edge.
You go, guys. There you go. You know what a free ball is now. You know what isn't a free ball. So there's nothing more we can do there, you know. So anyway, seeing we haven't talked an awful lot about Paul, we're going to touch on Paul. Oh, you know who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. We're talking about this man here.
Oh no! I wish I had a dog.
You know, the thing is now, Paul, like all of us, Paul's getting on a little bit now, isn't he?
He's older than me, that's for sure.
He's not very tall either.
I think he can actually. He looks as if he's having a little bit of trouble seeing the edge of that ball there.
Take the picture off. Please take the picture off.
You know, he tries his best. Tries his best to come on there. You know, but you know, and then there's, you know, I'll tell you what. Some of the referees now, you know, some of the referees are getting on a bit. You know, I don't want to mention any names now, Brendon. You know, but some of the referees, you know, I think some of the referees should be in a home. They should be in a nursing home, Brendon. You know,
no comment.
And I mean, Leo's got to be what, at least 102 years old. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how old he is.
I'm not saying about Leo. I love Leo. I love Leo.
I've never left Leo alone. Leo's a great referee. You know, he's a little bit shy. He doesn't like coming on. You know.
No, he's a great guy. He's a great guy. There we are getting on a bit. I mean, myself, Jan. Oh, sorry, just dropped my pen. Myself, Jan, Paul. We've had our younger days. It's now time to let
the perfect age for doing this kind of thing is my age, which is 45. That's the best age to be doing these things. You know, running.
I'll let you know when I get there.
Live streams. You know, and I checked it out. Actually, Brendon, you're actually not that far behind me. You know. I know how old you are. You know,
I'll let you know when I get to 45. I'll let you know.
Keep young looking. And Paul, of course, Paul must be at least 66 by now, must he? Surely he must be coming up towards his pensionable age, is he?
Depends how mean you want me to be. Do you know? I love Paul. I'm just going to squash something now, because we have. Paul and Jan are probably my best mates on tour. They're the first two that I met when I first came on in 2004. And I'm really close with them. And me and Paul for years have always had digs at each other on social media, in person. Everyone thinks. And there's quite a few people that think it's genuine hatred, that we don't like each other with some of the comments that we say. I mean, we're talking about this today. For example, a few years ago, we flew to China together. And I think I put a tweet out saying, really looking forward to China. Just unfortunately, I've got to sit next to this muppet for 8 hours, and put a picture of Paul on. So obviously he retaliates, and then people get involved thinking it's genuine. But I just want to point out, I think Paul's brilliant. I mean, we're always having a pop at each other, But like I say, him and Jan are my best mates, and I won't do without him. That's the one and only time I'm going to say anything nice about Paul.
Oh, look, listen, I think we've a wee bit too hard on him. You know, you can never. You did say to me, Brendan, you can never be too hard on him. But,
no, we haven't been hard enough on him, but I just want to put that to bed. Can I just answer a couple of these down the side?
Yeah, sure. Go on.
The first one that came up, I just saw from Alan Francis there. How do you maintain your concentration as a ref? Do you have any secrets to do this? We've always said, the top refs will always say the hardest part of our job is the concentration. If you could be 100% focused, and if you have a dealing with the crowd or something catches your attention, once you're in the zone, if you lose that for a split second, then you're opening yourself up for a world of pain, and it's easy to happen. So do you have any secrets? Well, no, not really. It's simple. Just try and concentrate on your game. If you have to deal with the crowd, whether they're loud or it's headsets or whatever, then deal with it. But just focus on your game. You have to focus on your game. And it's quite hard in venues now, like the UK and stuff, where it's multi-table and it's open plan, where you can look across. So it's easy to get distracted there as well. But you've just got to remember that it is a professional game. You are doing a job, and you've got to focus on your own. So
you can't afford to make mistakes, though, Brendon. I mean, at your level, you can't make mistakes.
You can't. Everyone makes mistakes. I mean, players make mistakes when they're playing. Commentators will make mistakes what they're calling out. We make mistakes when we're actually reffing. It's just like anything. It's like in football, if a goalkeeper makes a mistake, it's invariably it'll cost them a goal. We make a mistake in snooker, and it could cost somebody a match. So you've got to be on the ball, concentrate, and just really keep your mind focused. I mean, people say our job's easy. It's not. I don't think our job's easy at all. But especially the concentration side of it. What else?
It's not just.
Sorry, go on. It's not just what?
I've noticed that you're going to. I wasn't aware really until maybe last year that the referees at your level are actually attending and running the Q Tour events, which is very, very good. I mean, you guys are actually quite busy, Brendon. I don't think a lot of the players out there, a lot of the snooker fans out there realize how busy you lads are. I mean, you're actually doing quite a lot off the table as well. So, I mean, running a tournament, just talk us through. I mean, you know, a tournament director. I mean, everybody sees you as the referee. The top, you and Jan and Paul as maybe the top referees. But in the background, your tournament directors. Give us a wee bit of an insight into that.
This week, for example, we're in Leicester at the moment, and we're the qualifiers for the English Open. Paul's the TD of the event, and I'm the assistant TD. So we obviously we set the events up, set all the scoring system up, make sure everything's working that way, get the referees' rotas, the matches out. Anything that happens out there, the referee deals with the game. But anything further than that, or venue-wise, the TDs are in charge, control everything. It's hard to pinpoint what actually the TD does in the professional game, because you're in charge of the whole event, really, like working with the venue people. You're just the ones in charge to make sure the event runs smooth. And going on to the Q Tour that you said, I'm the TD of the Q Tours, which for anyone that doesn't know is the next step down, the amateurs that are playing for a tour card the following season. And I love doing that because we go around different clubs in the UK, and there's two in Europe this season again. And I love running that event. WPBSA put me in charge of it a couple of years ago. Drone format come out. We get to the event, and the players have a good crack. There's no referees at the games, but there's two referees in the area in case there's problems. They get on with it themselves. And I think in the 2 or 3 years I've been doing it, I've seen one occasion where players have got into it and not agreed. But they're very good like that. They know they referee their own games, and it's a privilege to be a part of it.
Don't they have referees from the quarters?
On the last day, they have 2 referees for the first 2 days that are roaming referees. And then on the Sunday, on the last day, there's 4 referees. So the quarters, semis and final are all reffed. So it's really good. But like you say about being busy, I mean, myself, Paul, Jan, a few of the others, it could be anything like 150 days a year where you're away from home, because We referee, we assess referees, we're tournament directors. I do the Q Tour. I work for Matchroom for the 9-ball, same as Paul. We do the Championship League, the Champion of Champions. We're always busy. And me and Jan run the new EPSB referee scheme to get new referees involved. So we do online courses for that.
Question for that.
Yeah, we'll come back to that soon. So yeah, we're always busy. We never switch off. I mean, it is a full-time job. But again, it's not a complaint. We love it. It's a great job.
Well, I'll be getting in touch with you, Brendon, in December and January. I've got a couple of pro-ams up north, up in Lincoln and Sheffield. Yeah. So I'll be. I don't mind them coming over. A few of the EPSB lads have come over and they've done a great job. By the way, Brendon, they came over to Stratford upon Avon, Northampton.
Yeah.
They came over level 3. They were level 3. And they did really enjoy the afternoon. We couldn't really afford to pay them out of the pot, but I actually, you know what, Brendon, I bought them a bottle of wine and I bought their bloody lunch. You know what I mean? And you don't get any thanks from the players. You don't get any thanks. You don't get any thanks from the players. See the players, Brendon, they're the most ungrateful little gits. You know, and they expect everything.
Well,
you know, and
I don't know. I have good dealings with them. I have good dealings with them. I like the crack with them, especially the Q-Tour lads. I think they're great.
Listen,
I'm going to go through some of these. Who is the karate black belt referee? I'm assuming that means Ben Williams. I think he's the black belt.
Oh.
He's the one you don't argue with, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's black belt. Hi, Brendon. I've noticed these days you have a remote control in your hands to do the scores. This must be difficult as well as refereeing too. It's actually easier because most of our games that we referee, we use this, we call it a zapper, which is the remote scoring. And it's only when you're on the TV table and like the Worlds, the UK, the Masters, where you have a marker that does the scoring for you. So most of our games, we have that remote. So it's actually easier with the remote in your hand. And then when you don't have it, when you're on TV, it's like, well, you've got a spare hand. So it takes a few frames to get used to that. I actually it's not off-putting. I like the remote. What's the last one? What's your highest break? 63, still 63, still not beat it. And I never will because I don't play anymore.
That's terrible. You know, Brendon, I'm very disappointed to hear that. I thought you'd at least play the game.
No, 63 in a match. I've had more in practice, but 63 in a match. But now I just play 9-ball. I don't play snooker anymore.
Brendon, I'm hitting 60 breaks with 10 pints of Guinness in me. What's the matter with you?
Fair enough.
You know, what's the matter with you?
That's all right. That's why you look like you do and I look like I do.
Yeah, that's what you get like at 45.
I think he asked for that one, didn't he?
Only that remote control could eject players that don't behave very well in the tournament.
And fans and spectators.
If only that remote control could just push a button and take 60-year-old ex-professionals and throw them out the building because they give you a headache.
I hope you're watching, Gary.
I can hear Gary talking 5 tables away, you know, and none of it's good. Honestly, it's shocking. You know.
Michael, what did you...
Look at you, just sitting there like, you know, Brendon, I'll tell you what you were doing. You were just sitting there like a wee mouse for about 4 hours. Look at you.
You're working out the
Actually, I'll tell exactly what I'm doing there. If you see in front of me, my phone's on a stand. If I remember rightly, I was watching Sheffield Wednesday.
You were, yeah.
Yeah. That's why you came and told me off.
What's in the cup? Yeah. What's in the cup, Brendon? Is it rum?
It's a can, isn't it?
No, there's a cup there. There's a cup there. I think it's full of rum.
Let's have a look at it again for goodness sake.
Let's have a look. I can't remember.
Again there.
Oh, that was my rum. Yeah, that's my dead man's fingers. Yeah.
You didn't touch a drink. You
can see mine. Mine's the can there, the Dr. Pepper. And other drinks are available, obviously.
I think this was actually the finals day, wasn't it?
It would have been, because the trophy was out. That was in Brighton, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, Q tour at the Brighton event. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, you know, like,
go on, sorry. No, I'm going to say, Michael, what did you want to ask about the ref course?
Yeah, you mentioned the new scheme, if you like, to try and get more referees in. It's actually the WPBSA scheme now, isn't it?
It is now, yeah. Yeah.
And the EPSB have obviously adopted it. That's what they're using, and hopefully the rest of the world will follow it. So they're all singing from the same hymn sheet, if you like.
That's the plan eventually, yes.
Yeah. When it was the EPSB scheme recently, there used to be another level under level 3 for league referees, for people who didn't want to referee in any bigger tournaments than that, just wanted to be able to say that they knew the rules, they'd been tested on the rules or whatever, and they could referee at league standard. And EPSB were going to bring this league referee standard in. And then obviously when the WPBSA took over the refereeing scheme, that's disappeared now.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like the idea for a start, because under this, I mean, some people like it, some don't, right or wrong. I don't have an opinion. I just enjoy doing the course. But with the cost that's involved now for a new referee to come through and the time scale of it, there was no way you could make it, time consuming as well, that we'd have to then go, because the idea was they weren't going to learn the rules sort of inside out. It was like a basic knowledge. But then you've got to say, well, what's classed as a basic knowledge? So that we were expected then to try and come up with another course to go through the basics of the rules to get people through. But like I say, what's the basics? You either know the rules or you don't. And people that wanted to do just the club standard referee, they wouldn't get an official certificate.
No.
So how much would they pay for the course? When would they run the course? Who would monitor them to make sure they're doing the right things? And it was a tough one. It was a tough one. I'm not saying it stopped because I disagreed with it. I mean, if it happened, I would still teach it. I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that'll come in. I think we'll stick with the class 3, class 2, class 1 that we've got.
Yeah, because class 3 now is like 149 or something like that.
I think so, yeah. And it takes about 16 weeks now.
Yeah. And the league one was only something like 30 or 50 quid or something.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I don't know that.
It was like probably affordable, because our league in Carlisle, we've got a pool of referees, lads who are just willing to say, yeah, well, put me down, and if you need a referee, we'll do it. And all the individual competitions, we get them all refereed and everything. But that's only with us as like a pool of referees. But it's difficult. Obviously, there's no qualifications or anything. All we do is say, just look at the WPBSA thing online.
Yeah.
You don't even have to buy a rule book, do you? Just download the PDF and just look at it.
That's the tough thing now. That I mean, I've got to be honest. I generally don't know which. I'll probably get in trouble for saying this. I generally don't know which scheme was best. I really like the one that we're doing now.
Yeah,
it works well. I mean, myself and Jan do the online course for the teaching the rules and go through it all. And then they get passed on to a mentor who then oversees what they do from there, which it works really well. The only downside for me is we don't get at the table with them now. So you don't get to meet them in person, go through things. And I understand why we've done it, why it's been put in that way. We can do more at a time. I used to do 5 or 6 in a time, and people would have to travel to Sheffield. We had a few examiners all over the country. Granted, we've lost that now, but it was a failing system. It definitely was a failing system, and something needed to be done. And we're learning as we go, but I think we're getting it right. And I just hope one day it branches out, and not just the EPSB. And other places adopt it. Whether they do, I don't know, but I know that's what our aim is. There's the rat catcher.
There's the rat catcher. Brendon, I was telling you earlier about dissected mice.
Yep.
This little bastard here is responsible for all of that. He doesn't eat his food. He just eats mice, Anyway, bugger off. Go on. Brendon, let's just extend on this here. We're talking about the See the final exam. Let's just talk us through the kind of process and questions that somebody would have to deal with going through that final exam.
Well, again, it's different now. There's no longer a final exam, because it's an ongoing process. It takes 16 weeks. So once they've done the course with me and Jan, the mentor gets in touch with them, and then they go out and they referee 6 local games, record the match sheets, record their assessment sheets themselves, what they think they did right, what they think they did wrong. They contact the mentor and they go through it all on a Zoom call. how to progress and how to improve it. But just before that, myself and Jan wrote like a 75 questions and answers paper. So the mentors will just pick those at random to gain just to have an idea what the knowledge is. Say you did the course with me and Jan over the next 2 weeks, then 3 or 4 weeks later, this mentor will contact you. They go through the questions and see what your knowledge is. Have you retained the knowledge? Are you struggling? If you're struggling, they'll try and develop and go through that to make sure you understand it. And once they're happy, you don't pass and fail, but they say, okay, I'm happy that you know what you're doing. Here you go out and ref. Then they'll ref the 6 games. The mentor coaches them. And at some point when that mentor is happy, they will then officially pass them and they'll get their Class 3 certificate. Whereas in the past, you'd have a 3-hour seminar on one night about the rules. The next week, you do another 3 hours. And the week after, you have an hour exam. And then you'd say, right, you've done, passed, off you go. And that was it. 7 hours, you were a referee and nobody followed it up. Whereas now, you've got experienced, you've got myself and Jan, you've got Glenn Sullivan-Bissett, Ben Williams, Colin Humphreys, and a guy from Sheffield called Paul Bannister. So between us, we've got a bit of experience about us that mentor and coach these referees along. So we think it's going well. We get good feedback off them and just hope it continues. I mean, we get many people put the name down for it, pay the money, do the course, and then for whatever reason, just disappear and don't follow it up. But we can only do the course.
Who are the mentors? You say you like yourself and
myself and Jan don't mentor anymore. We do the actual Zoom seminar itself, teaching the rules, and then the mentors are Ben Williams, Glenn Sullivan-Bissett, Colin Humphreys. All 3 have worked for World Snooker, and Paul Bannister, who was an examiner with me in Sheffield. He's one of the mentors.
So, like for us in Carlisle, I suppose Ben would be the nearest. He's Bolton.
Well, but that's the thing, because we don't have. Where we can do it on location, but because we don't meet them in person, it's all on Zoom now.
Okay.
So it doesn't really matter. But that was the other thing. We didn't have people that were all over the country that we could use. So at points now, they might go and referee an EPSB under-16 event, for example, in Carlisle. And anybody that's passed this course who's now a referee can go and referee that. And if you've got somebody like myself or Colin or Ben who's available, they can go to that event and give them some actual first-hand, hands-on coaching.
Yeah, if they're available. Yeah.
If they're available, that's the plan. But it doesn't always work. So obviously, we're so busy at events. So
yeah, you need probably a lot more mentors yet, don't you?
We do. It's an ongoing process trying to get them. But we can't just. It's not just a case of getting anybody as a mentor, because we're doing it through WPBSA, and you've got myself and Jan actually running the scheme. We've got to be happy at who we trust to do the mentoring. Yeah. And to be honest, they need to do it the way that we teach them, because that way we know they're getting the world snooker knowledge straight away. Yeah. And that's the idea.
Yeah. Do you know what, boys? There's some people we're not talking about here. We can't leave them out, because I think those ladies are doing a tremendous job. You know, and it's like I don't know, Brendon, give me your feedback on this, but it feels like a whole new wave. Things are changing. We've got some fantastic lady referees.
See, you're going to get me going on one here, and you'll get them on it as well, right? There is no such thing as a male referee and a lady referee and a female ref. We're all referees. I mean, obviously, back in the day when Michaela was the only one, it was, brilliant. She was the only one. She was the lead that people now follow. But you look now, and you've got Desislava, you've got Tatiana, Micah, Margajota, Monica, Pro Latina. There's loads, but I personally, I hate them being singled out as female refs. They're not getting games because they're female refs. They're getting games because they're good referees. Doesn't matter if they're male. Doesn't matter if they're female. And that gets my back up. It really gets my back up. I'm sorry. And it does theirs, to be fair. They don't like interviews where they're being said, what's it like to be a female ref? They're not. They're a ref. Yeah, nobody has once asked me, what's it like being a male referee? What's it like being a Sheffield referee? So why should it be relevant to be what's it like being a female referee?
I'm going to get them on here. I'm going to get them on here. I'm going to bring the girls on here, and they're going to have it out with you.
I find they agree with me. They'll agree.
There's still majority of people call the World Snooker Tour the men's tour.
Exactly. That's my next point. It's never been a men's tour, and it's not a men's tour.
Oh no.
It's not. It's just a tour. Yeah. But my point is,
we're not going to talk about lady snooker players, okay, Michael?
No. Let me just say what we're going to say.
Listen, Brendon. Every time we talk about that, he does nothing but cause trouble.
Who's
that?
Okay,
so we're not going to get on that subject matter. All right.
No, I'm not talking about female players.
You got me into trouble with Jason Ferguson.
No,
you got me into trouble with you.
No, I just want to say, like I say, I just want to say my point is these, as you say, lady referees, they're not getting the games. They're not doing finals and semi-finals because they're women. They're doing them because they're good refs. And that's the point. They are referees and they're good referees.
It's still nice to see that no women should be scared of trying to be a referee.
Correct.
That's
correct.
That's the best thing. I mean, you see them, and they are good referees. There's no doubt about it. I mean, they wouldn't, and we know that they wouldn't be on telly doing the refereeing if they couldn't do it. I mean,
yeah,
we know that Desi's one of the best. Tatiana's great at doing it. The others, they're good referees.
They're great role models. I mean, if they bring more, and I'm going to use your words, if they bring more, I mean, I just said more refs, whoever the refs are, whether they're male, whether they're female, if they bring more referees into the game, then it's good for the game.
Yeah, definitely.
I knew you'd get my back up tonight.
Well, we get...
we do need loads more referees, though, at all the different standards. And like I say, 150 quid's not a lot, but it is, for us to say, as a league, to put 10 referees through that, it's a lot of money.
Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah. So, anyway, next.
I think there's a question down there. Somebody sent a question in down there.
Yeah,
Matt Andrews. He's just making a comment more than anything else. Must be great to take part in a heritage, to be a referee named amongst that important line of greats. Do you feel like it's Brendon, you've obviously been a referee for a very long time, and I mean, I get the feeling you thoroughly enjoy your work.
Love it.
You're at the high end of your work as well. You're on the limelight. You've got responsibilities as well.
Yeah.
And you work at the end of the day. You work for World Snooker, so you're kind of going to get it in the neck as well, aren't you? You're going to get criticism. And how do you deal with the criticism? I mean, did you get much of it, or is it just sort of like, is it not there?
No, you get quite a bit. I mean, that situation I mentioned earlier with the Ronnie foul, I got absolutely battered from pillar to post from everybody. That all these brilliant referees that see the TV angle, the shot that they saw at home, that I eventually saw, that made me change my mind. I didn't have that, so I just had a call to make from where I was. You deal with it. You handle it and you get on with the game. But then when I come off and you get absolutely battered on social media, I read it, but I don't pay attention. It's like all the good comments you get, again, they're nice to get, but I don't pay attention to them, same as the nasty ones. They're great. I think all social media, I mean, my philosophy is if you won't say it to the person's face, don't put it on social media. But you just get on with it. I mean, you can't be everybody's favourite. Some will have a go, some won't. You just take it on the chin and carry on.
Well, listen, some of you boys are getting on a bit. I mean, how far do you see this going? I mean, look, I'm not picking on anybody in particular, but the thing is, Jan is getting on a wee bit. You know what I mean? He's even squinting his eyes.
Yeah.
There's no reason why you should squint your eyes. The only time you squint your eyes is when you're having trouble. And, I reckon Jan must be coming up to, 65, 70?
Well, I think he was about 65 in that picture, wasn't he? He's got a beard now.
It looks like he's trying to put the white on the blue spot there, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, while ever we can do the job and they'll let us do it, we'll do it because we love doing it. All of us do. And I don't just mean Jan and Paul. Everybody loves it.
You've got the young upstarts chasing your tail like Rob Spencer and co.
Young? He's older than I am.
Oh, wow. That was Rob Spencer. Who's the I'm trying to think of the name of the young European referee, Brendon. He refereed one of the finals there this season. He's a fantastic young referee.
Marcel?
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Marcel Eckhart.
Is it Marcel?
Marcel Eckhart,
I'm really impressed with him, Brendon. He's a fantastic lad. I've had chats with him in the hotels, which is usually a couple who were staying there. I've had chats. He's such a lovely lad. He really is.
Yeah,
and
he's
he's
a nice guy.
I tell you what, he's actually quite tough. Brendon, he's very professional.
Yep.
You know, I mean, you see a young guy out there with his experience. He handles the scene really, really well. Really impressed with him. He's got a big future.
Yeah, he's. I mean, I think he broke Paul's record. He's the youngest referee of the world final now. But again, he works with me on the 9-ball scene. Me, him, and Desse. We do the 9-ball, and they're both the same there. The professionalism, the great refs. Long may it continue. I hope they both get many more world finals. They're great refs. They are the future of the game.
Yeah,
these young refs coming through, and that's our next step. I mean, me, Jan, and Paul. We've done our bit. Yes, we'd love to do more, but our aim now is to... I'd love every referee to experience what I've refed, what I've done. It's impossible for that, but you want to get as many to do it as they can. And whatever we can pass on that knowledge to help them get there, I take great pride in somebody walking out to do a big final that I've helped to get to that stage. So, yeah, I enjoy that now. That's my aim, to get them all to progress the same level.
That's what Steve Starkey used to say about Rob, because Steve Starkey, God rest his soul, he always said, like, you know, he'd help Rob Spencer get on to doing what he was doing. And he said, because Steve never wanted to be a pro referee or anything like that. I mean, you knew Steve, obviously.
Yeah.
He always said, you know, look at that. I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
How he'd helped Rob.
It is. It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling when they do it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Brendon,
yes,
we're going to have to get rid of you, okay? Because listen, you've done an awful lot. I'll tell you what, you've done more talking than Paul ever could. All right. I'm not saying you're any more exciting than him, but you're both okay. All right.
Well,
here.
I think I talk a bit more sense than he does sometimes, but he'll argue with that.
Paul have a counter attack. Brendon, look, listen, you've given me a headache. Thanks very much for coming on. All right.
My pleasure.
I've done very well. I promised you I wasn't going to put you on the spot with any tough questions. All right. I wasn't going to get you into trouble. The only person I'm going to get into trouble on here live is with Jason. That's the only person I'm going to get into trouble.
Fair enough. I hope I've not got myself into any trouble.
That's great stuff. Brendon, thanks very much for joining us. I will catch you again soon. Take it easy, lad.
Hang on.
Catch you later. All right. Right, guys. Well, spent too much time with Moore. Michael, we've spent too much time with Moore. Okay. We've got George's interview. We've got an interview with Zack. We have a little bit of talk about here. So, listen, big congratulations to Farrick winning the Q Tour 3 at the weekend there. He beat Harvey Chandler 5-3. Also, well done to Josh Thomond and Ross Muir. Again, doing very well. Young Josh seems to be doing very well, Michael. He's a good friend of Peter Devlin's, and I know Peter told me that he's up and coming, and he seems to be scoring very well, getting very close to some of these events.
Yeah, he's always been, as long as I've known him, he's always been one you can, you know, if he's in the room, you can say, oh, let's just have a watch of him, like, you know what I mean? He's one of the better ones. He's a good lad, but he's misunderstood. I think.
No, Josh, he's not. He's not misunderstood. He's a pain in the ass. He's a pain in the ass. We're going to get Josh. We'll get Josh on, have a little chat with him about his snooker career, and he's obviously improving quite a bit. He's doing quite well. Another prover is Hammond Hussein. You know, I remember meeting the Hussein boys at Stratford upon Avon. Now Hammond he seems to be getting very close, and nearly everything he's doing, he must be improving. You know,
he's been, I watched him years and years ago at one of the last EASB finals weekends, probably the under-21s or something like that.
Yep.
Maybe he was runner-up to, if I'm right, maybe he was runner-up to Louis Heathcote in that. I'm not 100%. Or maybe even beat him, I don't know. But you could see with the way he was like round the table and his cue action and everything, and people, were noticing.
He's improving.
Yeah.
He's a very nice lad. I'm really impressed with him. He's got the head, good temperament. He's got the all-round stuff that you need, So listen, Michael, we're going to have to crack on with some of these interviews here. I want to try and keep this down to an hour. So we caught up with George again, Michael. George, he's just won a second the second English Amateur Tour event. He also reached the quarters of the more recent Q Tour 3. George got the 2 finals, and he has reached the quarterfinals of this event. So he's obviously doing very, very well. So I caught up with George just the other day, and this is what he had to say. That it was actually a cardiologist that told me to drink lemon water, because he said to me it would help me think a little bit more clearly. I'm not sure about that, George.
No, I'm not too convinced.
Right, now, George, here we go again. We did this a couple of weeks ago. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Things are looking pretty good. English Amateur Event 2 winner this week. Event 1 winner a few weeks ago. Q Tour 1 runner-up. Q Tour 2 runner-up. Q Tour 3 quarterfinals.
Yeah.
You don't see this very often, George. On all these platforms, all these events, you don't see this happen very often. It's a very, very good sign. So how are you feeling about your game at the minute with all this?
Good. I mean, it's not so much my game, it's more my mentality's changed over the last year. Before, if I was getting bogged down in matches, I wouldn't, not sort of give up, but I wouldn't really want to be involved in a match like that. Whereas now, I'm more like, if I lose, at least make my opponent work for the win, like earn the win. Really, so it's mainly my mentality that's changed. It's not really much in my game. Obviously, I've made a slight technical change, which I told you last time, but that's pretty much it. So I'm happy with the start. Obviously, I would have wanted to win one of them, both of them finals, but you can't be too disappointed with that start for sure.
You're certainly getting the feel of things with traveling around as well. Obviously we've got 2 Q Tour events in Europe this year too. So, I mean, your results are over the weekend. You did Devlin, Kay, Nicely, Carty. You got your revenge on Martin O'Donnell.
Yes. Yes.
That's a confidence booster there, because Marty obviously beat you.
I really wanted to get him this time, because last time he schooled me bad.
He did.
So I'm glad I turned up for this one.
I tell you what, by the time you got to that Q Tour final with Martin or George, you did look exhausted, mate. You did.
Yeah,
so,
I think that's.
You talked about, the how to build yourself up and how to, get yourself into the right sort of frame of mind. And you mentioned the mental thing. Obviously, mentally, you look very, very strong at the minute, but you're also scoring very heavy on the table as well. Do you feel as if, practically speaking, you feel as if your game is still improving all the time?
I mean, it doesn't feel like it is, to be honest, in practice. I mean, I'm not the best player in practice, to be honest. But for some reason, when it comes to tournaments and matches, I just seem to play a lot better. I seem to focus a lot harder as well now. In matches, I'm just really focused hard, whereas in practice, you're not really focused that much. But it's weird. I can go from playing in practice, not potting a ball, and I've got a tournament the next day, and I'll not miss a ball. So I don't really take much from practice, really, because you can play well in practice and then not pot a ball the next day, and then vice versa the other way. So it's just go on.
Obviously, this time around you've got sponsorship. Things are a wee bit better organised than they have been before. So now you're playing in proper tournament. You're playing in all of these tournaments now, because you're having consistent match play all the time. George, is that giving you a lot of confidence? Is that instilling you with a lot of drive?
Yeah, I mean, it keeps you sharp, doesn't it? I mean, there's players that don't play much, and then they turn up, and you can sort of see if they've not been playing that much. You can tell just not by like they're not scoring heavy, just by their match play really. And playing in all these tournaments, it definitely sharpens you up, and you've got an advantage over most people.
So there you go for the viewers out there. You got to keep playing as many matches
Literally,
as you can.
Playing everything. Let people be sick of your face. That's what I say.
You know, as I say, George, this little interview will go live on Wednesday evening when myself and Amateur Snooker and Snookerhub do the live stream, and we'll have a few guests on. It'll give them a wee bit of an insight. We're going to be talking that evening about the professional tier and draw system when it comes to amateurs or lower ranked professionals. Do you have any views on that? A little bit of feedback from yourself to the players out there in that respect. Do you think it's a fair system, the way the tiers are set on the draws for top ranking pros, lower ranked pros?
I don't even know what is it now. I don't even know what it is now.
Well, if you're in the top 32, say you're a top 32 professional snooker player, I think you're pretty much going to get someone 75 and below. Let's put it that way. So let me just throw that at you. I thought the lower ranked pros drew the lower ranked pros now. No, is that not correct? No, that's not the case. I think that
is it not the case?
I think the argument is that a lot of the lower rank professionals are pretty much thrown at the deep end, where they maybe perhaps have the view that shouldn't be the case, that they should perhaps play around that.
In the UK, that's not the case, right? In the UK, that's tiered.
Yeah, the UK is slightly different, but most of the other ranking events, it isn't.
Yeah, that's tough, and that's tough for the lower ranked players, and the top up's really tough. Like the pressure's bang on them straight away. Whereas if they drew someone lower ranked where they think they've got a chance of winning, and then maybe they get a win under their belt, earn a bit of money, then they can perform better against the top pros. But that's why it's good now, like World Snooker, you guarantee 20k a year now. So I think that will take a lot of pressure off the lower ranked pros.
Tremendous. That 20k is going to be so helpful, George.
Unbelievable. Yeah, but not even just for expenses, but for performances as well. You'll see a lot of players now, I think, play a lot better and get more wins now. And you'll see a lot of people come out of retirement as well, I think.
Yeah, very, very encouraging. It was obviously a very, very good decision. It was a decision that was perhaps maybe pending for a while. Yeah, with your current performance, George, you're probably going to get perhaps maybe some pro tournament invitations as such, maybe in that respect. And, there's a fairly likely chance that you'll be given a top 32 player if you went into that draw, So, I mean, there's a lot of us out there who think that that's unfair, that it's not, it is what it is, but
it is. I was thinking to say that it is what it is. It is what it is.
For some of the players,
I would relish playing some, top 32 player.
Ronnie, for example, yeah.
It'd be brilliant. Then you could sort of gauge where you are then.
Yeah. But anyway, we'll be having a chat about that, George. So join in and tell us what you think, So what's coming up for you then? What's next for you?
So tomorrow night I'm playing in the 900. So obviously by the time this has gone out, I've either won it or I've lost straight away. Okay. Then after that, I believe it's Sweden, Q Tour 4. Stockholm, end of November.
Okay, will you be flying over there a couple of days before or
Friday night? Yeah, Friday. We fly Friday morning, flying out there.
Friday morning.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
And you've already, obviously, George, you've already had a taste of flying over to, where was it, Brussels? Yeah.
Brussels? No, where was it? Mons, wasn't it? Mons.
How did that go? Did the transport, the traveling aspect of it over there, was that okay? Were you comfortable with that?
Yeah, that's fine. That was fine. I don't mind the traveling, really. I don't really mind it.
Well, you always used to moan at me about driving down to bloody Brighton, and that was only a 3-hour drive. You moan about that.
That's different, though, isn't it? At least you're getting out of the country when you're flying.
And I was never going to offer you a tour card, George. You know what I mean? that's a big difference too, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, kid, thanks for joining us again, and we'll be keeping an eye on you. And if you win the next one and the next one and the next one, well, we're just going to have to keep bringing you on and finding out why you keep doing what you're doing. You know,
I think my luck's bound to end eventually.
Thanks for joining us, George. Stay on a second, everybody. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm going to have to cut these videos down a wee bit. They're going on too long, you know. So I'm going to work on that one. All right. I'm getting better. I'm getting better. Surely. So what do you think then? He's doing so well, isn't he?
He's doing fantastic. I mean, I was just looking then as we were looking at the draw. I don't think he's playing in the English Amateur Championship, is he? For whatever reason, I can't see him in anywhere in the English Amateur Championship. Why not? Don't know.
Probably doesn't offer. Does it offer anything?
That's a bit of an argument in itself, isn't it?
Well, the English Amateur Tour, it offers a European card, does it not?
Yeah. But what the English Amateur Champion, what that offers is you're the English Amateur Champion, and that for me would be enough. But some it's not.
Listen. I don't want to sound the way I'm sounding, but it has no appeal to me whatsoever. Do you know, if I was a player, all right, okay, look, George is sponsored now, okay? He's got sponsors, so a lot of his expenses are going to be covered, and entry fees as such are going to be covered. It was always a problem in the past for George, because I've known the kid for a long time. And that's a lot easier for him. But if I was managing a player of George's quality, I would have him on. Obviously, I would have George playing the Q Tour events, primarily the Q Tour events and the English Amateur Tour events, which provides him with an opportunity to play for play in the European Championships. In which case, there's an opportunity for a tour card there. So it's all tour card. So I'd focus on Q School. I'd focus on Q Tour. I'd restrict it. And I would have him play as many professionals as possible.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have him playing anything else.
Yeah. Well, this is part of the thing. I'm not as focused like you said there as on getting onto the professional tour. I think there's thousands and thousands of people playing snooker every night of the week. Well, not every night of the week, but weeknights. There's thousands of people playing snooker, you know, in the leagues up and down the country. Very, very, very few of them want to be professionals. In the clubs, there's thousands more people playing snooker who don't even think they're good enough to get in the team that plays in the league. There's many thousands of people who want to play, and a lot of people who play don't even follow the professional game at all. I mean, you know, you talk to people who are playing in the league, and they don't even bother. They don't know who's playing when. They don't know who's finished, who's good, who's not. There's a lot more to snooker than professional snooker, and that's my focus is on amateur snooker.
No, you're absolutely right.
The clubs all survive on it. The coaches all survive on it. It's all about, you know, there's a bit more to snooker, and it's maybe where some people, some organisations have got a bit too professional bias, too, you know, tour card bias. I don't think so. I think, you know, it was Mark Allen who was saying recently, you know, that people who were in the European Championships, who'd already got their pro tickets for the following year, this season, if you like, shouldn't be playing because the winners get a pro ticket. And he's saying, no, you're not playing for a pro ticket. You're playing to be the European Amateur Champion. It's fair enough for me. That's what it's about.
But this is from a perspective of players like George, Michael. Yeah, I'm just looking from his perspective, because George is as good as many players on the lower end of the tour. I know he is.
Yeah.
And he was very close to getting on the tour a few seasons ago in the playoffs, you know. So George's focus really in that respect is to get on a tour. But and you're right, there's a lot of really good amateur snooker players out there who know they're not going to make a living in the game and they'd like to take a title. Yeah. You know, and I would encourage those lads, as just as you to reiterate what you said there, you know, I would encourage those lads to just go for those titles. There's a big difference, Michael, big difference between players who just want to play and enjoy the game and know they're good. There's a lot of really great amateur snooker players out there who score really well, enjoy the game, who will never make a living in the game. Very few of them are going to make a good living in the game.
Yeah.
And we see that, very clearly see that when they drop on and off the tour. But, you know, and talking to players like that, just to extend that, because we're running a wee bit behind because we couldn't shut Brendon Moore up. Thanks very much, Michael, for sponsoring the Pro-Am at Brighton over the weekend there. It was a really good tour. I really enjoyed the tournament. You know, you had a really nice mix of top amateur players there and a couple of ex-professionals. And, you know, Zack Richardson won that tournament, you know. And you know what, Michael? He's one of those names. He's one of those guys who's Zack's in his 30s now, his mid-30s now, who kind of sort of backed off, you know, for a lot of different reasons for trying to get on the tour, because this is a young guy who is probably better than quite a lot of the players who are already on the tour, Michael. You know, but you know, there's a lot of lads like this who can turn up and win a very tough Pro-Am and play as well as he did. He hit lots of 100 breaks that day, by the way, Michael, loads of 100 breaks, and he scored heavy all day. He lost up until the final. I think he lost one frame, and then he beat Darminder. Lily Singh in the final. Darminder, as a lot of people know, is a very good seniors player. He's a world champion as well, seniors world champion. He's we're going to be speaking to him in the next few days. But caught up with Zack, actually, Michael. Should we have a little listen to Zack? We caught up with Zack, who won your Pro-Am in the Brighton Club on Sunday. Let's see what he had to say anyway. Go. You never know who's going to turn up. You get a nice mix of juniors, seniors, and fellas your age. What are you, about 45 now, I think?
Yeah, 50.
But you know, and then you get pensioners as well, like Andy Norman and Gary Filtness.
And yourself.
Don't they get on your nerves? Don't they?
Yeah.
Don't they get on your nerves?
They do.
I had to put up with Filtness all day yesterday. You know what I mean? Never mind anybody else. And it gives me a terrible headache, and I couldn't drink because I had to go to work. Anyway, listen, Zack. Yesterday, like many other Pro-Ams down at the club, you know, there's days when sometimes you come down there and you don't shine. You're just not on it. You know, you can't hit the ball. And I've seen some of those days, and you feel like you just want to walk out. But the days that I've seen you come down to the club and play really good amateurs like you played yesterday and a few other tournaments that you won at the club, you played well because you cued well. You're scoring very, very heavy all day. You don't look like losing a lot of frames. And as I said, your cueing, your long ball pattern was outstanding. You know, you didn't miss very much. You know, so I think you enjoyed it as much as anybody did yesterday. How did you feel yourself yesterday?
I felt surprised because I really for the last week or so. So I kind of came here hoping I'd get going in the first game, and I ended up playing really well in the first. I had a few big breaks, and that kind of settled me for the day, really.
Poor wee Eddie Jones, eh?
Yeah.
You know what? The worst thing was, Zack, he did the draw. Poor kid, he came down for a bit of experience, and he gets the winner, you know. Yeah, of course, you had John Gillard, is just to mention to the viewers, John Gillard's the local coach. John's game's improved a lot. John's always been a good Pro-Am player, as much as he hasn't played a lot of competitions. And I hope when he watches this and reflects on his play yesterday, I hope he does get involved with more of the scratch events at the club. But just talk us through your match with John. I know you did on 4-0, but
I've known John like 20 years, nearly 15, 20 years. And I said to him yesterday, I said, you know, I know I won. The scoreline was convincing, but I could have easily been 2-1 down. I needed snooker in the first. Managed to get that and win. And then he had a 55 in the third, and I managed to nick that frame as well. So, yeah, 4-0 wasn't a fair scoreline at all, really. But I played pretty solid. I played pretty solid against him and Tam.
Mm-hmm.
I think the match I struggled in the most was the final, really. I think it was just a long day. You know, I was tired. I don't know.
Yeah,
it was.
And it's good. You know, Dar's he's always a very intimidating player to play. You know, he's a very attacking player. He's probably a bit like Tom, actually, in the sense that he's not short of attacking, is he?
No.
He's such a great potter. You know, you kind of hope he'll miss it and leave you something. You know, make a mistake because he is a athletic player.
His long game was a bit frightening, to be honest. And I really don't know what to leave. I don't know what I can leave him. So I think that put me on the back foot a little bit, and then I didn't settle very well after.
So what's your plans for the rest of the year? Are you making any? I know that it's up and down with you, and you're not too sure about whether you want to be competitive or just stay in the background. Are you thinking possibly about going to Q school?
It's definitely a possibility of thinking of going back again. Yeah, I haven't done it for about 5 years now, so I'm kind of getting the bug back. I kind of want to do it again. So we'll see. We're getting nearer the time. February, March, I sort of know for sure what I want to do.
Well, look, listen, mate, thanks for coming on the stream for just a few minutes. I want to see you keep practicing down there at the club. And I'd love to see you get involved with Q school, because if you play anywhere near like you did for most of those frames that you played yesterday, not too many at Q schools going to have an easy time with you. All right. Thanks very much for joining us. Just stay on the line there, Zack, anyway, just while I'll tell you what, Michael, the thing is with this kid is his best result was that he got to the last 16 off the Paul Hunter Open.
Yeah.
At that time, I think it was about 7 years ago, he beat Rory McLeod in the last 32, and then I think Tom Ford beat him in the last 16. And I think at this time, I'm not sure that was a ranking event at that time. It is now, is it? Is it now? But that was his biggest achievement, I think. And look, he's known across the circuit. He's very, very good friends with Jimmy Robertson, who he practices with now and again. And, he's a very talented young player that we just don't know anything about. And there's a lot of amateur. It's like I said to you just before I showed you the interview. I mean, there's a lot of players like him out there, Michael, that they're not interested. They're not interested because they know it's unlikely. They know they're probably better than some of the players on the tour.
Well, it's a different thing now, isn't it? And I think there's going to be maybe a lot of people who will think differently because of the 40k that they're going to get over 2 years, if that carries on. Let's just assume it will carry on, because most people say it's a great idea. There are one or two who don't like it for whatever reason. But if you get on the tour and you give it, and you're more or less, well, you're guaranteed 40k over that 2 years. That's taking the pressure off. Whereas, before, you were thinking, well, I can't pack up work. Especially when, they got the open draw format where you're going to get whoever top 32 players straight away. It's just very difficult. But no, people like Zack and George can think about these things a bit more seriously, and they could think, well, and the sponsors can say, right, well, if we get you on the tour, at least you've got 20 grand. To start. Massive difference.
Massive incentive.
And there's going to be a lot of people who said it already, dust the queues off or whatever. They'll think about it. There's a lot of people who are going to say, I wish I'd have had that chance back in my day. obviously they're going to say that because it's always been said that the professionals should get paid for entertaining, and Barry Hearn himself always said it's an entertainment business. So why not get paid to entertain? I don't know. Big difference now, and we might see a lot of different amateurs coming through.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this up. All right, we kind of run out of time, and we don't really want to run this more than we run it already. I'm trying to keep these streams down to about an hour. So what we're going to do, Michael, if it's okay with you, what we're going to do next month, we will carry forward this discussion on the draw system, the pro professional ranking tournament draw system, and the tiering of and the seeding of the players. We will leave that until next month, where we'll have a more in-depth sort of chat with the players about that. We'll get some players on to talk about that. I think that's probably pretty much going to be a show on its own, mate. It is. It's going to take up a lot of time. There's also some other things next month. Next month, I'm going to get on a chat. We're going to get on Phil Cross from Lincoln Snooker Club. I'm going to be running an event for Phil in the new year in January at his club. He wants to get some competitions involved. Local top amateur Stephen Halworth is based there. We're going to have a chat with Phil. We're going to have a little chat about his club and talk about what the kind of ideas he's got and how he wants to move forward. We're going to be doing that next time round, guys. We're going to be keeping you up to date with all the Pro-Am stuff that's pending as well. And I think we're going to get, Michael, are we going to get John Hunter on from Q-Stars?
Yeah, where we're doing that, I don't know yet. I'll have a word with John and Tim and see what they want to do. We might even be able to do a Q-Stars special. Fit that in between somewhere.
Sure.
Obviously we'll give people notice and we'll do that. But a Q-Stars special might be good. We could run everywhere about.
Right, we'll have a little rummage through that there and see what we can dig up. Yeah. So send in your views, guys. Send us myself or Michael any messages if you have any views on the content today. Again, guys, thanks very much for the questions you brought in. I know some of you are probably going to take a look at this on YouTube a bit later as we upload it. I'll upload the YouTube link on Amateur Snooker and Snookerhub and anywhere else that you might want to take a look at this again. It's just for you. It's for your views, and just come back to us and let us know what you want to do. If you want to come on here and talk about something, if you want to represent a club, if you want to talk about a club, if you'd like us to try and promote a club or amateur snooker, then just get in touch with myself or Michael, and we'll do our very, very best to get you on here and have a chat. So you pretty much know what we're doing next month, guys. So just keep in touch with us. We'll post the date for you, and thanks very much for joining us live.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Michael, why do you have to talk so much? I'm trying to keep these streams down to a minimum. You know what I mean? You keep going on. Brendon, we couldn't shut him up. He talked more than